against me. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But my people doth not know, my people doth not consider. You know, we can be so narrow-minded and blind, we totally miss out on who made us and why he made us, and why he takes care of us, provides for us, protects us, saved us. He said, my people doth not know. They just don't get it. Even the dumbest of animals have respect to the one that puts food in their trough. He said, but my people doth not know. My people doth not consider. They were guilty of that in Noah's day. And what was God's attitude? Well, first he said, it grieved the Lord in his heart, and it repented the Lord that he even made man. Are there times where you and I might give God some regrets? Where he'd say, I shouldn't have made him, I shouldn't have made her, I shouldn't have bought him, I shouldn't have saved him. You know, we ought to be a blessing to God. We are the called according to his purpose. Our first and foremost thing of life ought to be that we are lovers of God. But in Noah's day, they were so busy buying, selling, building, planning, eating, drinking. They had no time for God. They were just so into themselves. And what's the greatest sin of the church? The church at Ephesus in Revelation. He's commending them for all their religiosity, as it were, all their deeds and doings. But he said, I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast left thy first love. And the first love of every Christian has Jesus Christ. And we love him because we met him, the lover. We're in love with him because he first loved us. And we can get hard, we can get cold, because we live in a wicked world. We live in perilous times when men are lovers of their own self. And the love of many has indeed waxed cold because of abounding iniquity. But God is grieved. God is repentant that he made us. We've been a headache to him. We've been a trouble to him. We've been grief to him. Just like when Israel, and he tells Moses, get out of my way. I want to destroy this people. God has feelings. God, you know, his name is jealous. His name is I am. And when he says I am, he said, you're not, you're not, you're not. I am. It's his world. This is not the message I intended. That's part of what I intended to read. But look in Psalm 50. Psalm 50. I've preached on this before, and I was amazed that the scriptures came to mind. Isaiah 1 and all that were very much a part of it. But think, God is giving us a piece of his mind. God is telling us what he expects of us. And that's what Paul in Romans 11 explained our duties to God. And he said, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercy of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Be not conformed to this world. All they thinking about is themselves right here, right now. Live for Jesus. Live for eternity. But Psalm 50, the mighty God, even the Lord hath spoken. Doesn't that really fit in with Isaiah chapter 1? God said, I got something to say. And he's called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God has shined. God showed himself. He's manifested himself. He used Israel to do that. But what's his strongest warning to them? Beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And he warned if they did, he would do what? Tear them in pieces. And we're going to find that in this passage also. But it says, our God, verse 3, shall come and shall not keep silence. He's going to make a move. 2 Peter 3 talks about it. 2 Thessalonians 1 talks about it. He's going to come in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God. that said no to him, all the ones that didn't have time for him, all the ones that rejected him, they're going to get it. God said, vengeance is mine, said the Lord, and I will repay. But note this, our God shall come, and Jesus will return, and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him. What should you say? He's going to come in flaming fire. Second Thessalonians 1, he's going to come in flaming fire. And it says before him, and he shall be very tempestuous round about him. You talk about whirlwinds, tornadoes, hurricanes, they're going to get it all one time. Fire is going to be devouring. People will be screaming, begging. What does the Revelation say that we're doing? Crying to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, from the boss. He shall call to the heavens from above and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Where's judgment going to begin? At the house of God. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. I believe that's those who are truly saved. They've come through Jesus Christ, what he did on the cross. They're born again. And the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself. When we judge other people, condemn other people, aren't we playing God? What's God say? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I will repay. You know, and it's a fearful thing to fall in the hands of a living God. He will bring judgment. Look out. Hear, O my people, and I will speak. O Israel, I will testify against thee. I am God, even thy God. Can you hear the Lord talking to you? He's expressing himself. You know, and he's not doing it in a wrong way. He's allowed to do it. Why? Because he is God. He said, hear, O my people. Even talking to Christians, that's the one supposed to humble himself and pray and seek his face. And I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against thee. I am God, even thy God. Does God have a right to demand from us? He absolutely does. We owe him. I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifices. These people made their offerings. They brought the stuff to the temple, or thy burnt offerings. They made regular offerings to the Lord. It says, to have been continually before me. They always going through their religious duties, their religious ritual. And what did he say in Psalm 51? You turn over there with me. Look at verse 16. Thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offerings. The sacrifices of God are what? Broken. That's somebody that's been humbled. They've come down. They've submitted to God. They're no longer the adulterers and adulteresses that James talked about in Belle of the world. They've submitted themselves. They've come home. They've repented. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit and a broken and contrite heart. Oh God, thou wilt not despise. Now back in Psalm 50, God speaking. Listen to verse 9. I mean, is God arrogant? He is. He's the only one allowed to be. I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he-goat out of thy fold. Before God wants from you, what does God want? He wants you. He wants your heart to be submitted to him. It says, for every beast of the forest is mine. And it says, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. He owns them all. I know all the fowl of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. I have that word circled and highlighted. mine, mine. This is something I know I've quoted you before. But God said, if I were hungry, I would not help him. Think about that. What's God saying? I don't need your sacrifices. I want you. It says, for the world is mine and the fullness thereof. There's nothing you can give to God. Why? You got it from God. He gave it to you. He made a way for you to get it. Why eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats? Offer unto God thanksgiving. That's part of appreciation. That's part of respect. That's part of humility. Offer unto God thanksgiving. In all thy ways do what? Acknowledge him. And pay thy vows. You said you're going to live for him. You gave yourself to him. And then now you go back to self-living. He said, pay thy vows unto the Most High. And call upon me in the day of trouble. And I will deliver thee. And thou shalt glorify me. God says, you need me. I want to be close to you. I want you to be close to me. But you've got to pay thy vows. That's just like the marriage vow. We're married to him. And yet we have played the adulterer and adulteresses. We're too friendly with the world. We're not hated by the world. We're embraced by the world. And we should be separate. Not to touch the unclean thing. But unto the wicked, that's those that say no, they don't want God to bother them. They don't want God in their life. God saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? These are religious people. What are they doing? They're going around saying God said this, God said you shouldn't do that. These are the legalistic Christians. These would be like Seventh-day Adventists and different groups of Pharisees that go by the law. They don't know what grace is all about. They declare my statutes and that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth. They talk about God. They even may talk about Jesus. Said you do that, but seest thou what? Hatest instruction. You do what you think is best. You don't pay attention to what my words say. You don't follow my guidelines, my instructions. And casteth my words behind me. It's like we made reference to a lady that has a message on the internet about hell, Carol Meyer, and she said she doesn't care what Jesus said, she doesn't care what the Bible said. That's what it means. You just say, you cast it behind you. And yet, if you ask her, does she believe in Jesus, what would she say? She does. See, that's how mixed up and messed up people are. But thou hatest instruction and casteth my words behind thee. God's given us, again, a piece of his mind. He's trying to get our attention, trying to let us see his point of view. And when it comes to that, just like the problems in Sodom, Lot vexed his righteous soul. But remember Lot's wife. She didn't have respect. God said, don't look back. What'd she do? She looked back. And she turned the pillar of salt for Steve Dobosh to remember not to look back. Get this? When thou sawest the thief, thou consentest with him. You condone what he did and hast been partaker with adultery. You're hanging around with people who are living in immorality. People living in sin. You haven't dealt with them. Thou gavest thy mouth to evil, to criticize, to complain, to murmur, and that stuff supposed to be put far away from us. The bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, evil speech. You put away from with all malice, Ephesians 4. Thou gavest thy mouth, though, to evil, and thy tongue to frame deceit. You gossip, you told lies. Thou sittest and speaketh against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. It's talking to religious people here. People are making sacrifices. What did Jesus call them? Well, they were Pharisees. He called them whited sepulchres full of dead men's